for the 5 tips to snap out of your quarantine funk so you can feel like yourself again. So we went over tips 1 and 2 yesterday on Monday and Tuesday. Today we have tip 3, and then 4 and 5 will be Thursday and Friday. Funny how that all works out, right? So this is stemming from a situation that I just went through a few weeks ago. It was for at least 10 days. I was in a major funk, downward spiral, feeling like I wasn't doing anything right. On the one hand, I know like this quarantine is going to be lifted eventually, right? But I was really focusing on all of my problems and I wasn't looking outward beyond that. And the more I focused on the challenges I was facing, the worse it got. So the purpose of this, I'm not going to call it a challenge. It's just 5 days of 5 tips to help you break out of your quarantine funk if you're going through something similar. So you can scroll back to Monday and Tuesday for tips 1 and 2. So there were a plethora of attempts that I tried, and I tried a lot to really snap out of it and get back to myself again. And I narrowed it down to the top 5 that really worked. So I call these the non-cheesy, most effective ways to snap out of a quarantine funk. So here we go. So number 1 was on Monday, and you can get the full rundown there. But an overview, number 1 was to help someone. So many times we get so caught up on our situations, our circumstances, our problems, our challenges, our obstacles that we drive ourselves crazy, right? Pardon the children. You're just going to have to hear some voices. But when you help somebody else, when you just forget about your drama for a little while and you focus on someone else, you instinctively feel so much better. And I went through some stats with how people who are involved in their communities and have a supportive collective drive to help their community thrive, or even their neighbors, their friends, long distance or nearby, they report lower levels of stress, depression, higher self-esteem. So go back to video number 1 on Monday to get tip number 1 with a bunch of ideas on how to help people so that you can snap out of any funk that you're in right now. Tip number 2 on Tuesday was to commit to something and finish it. So commit to finishing something. And it doesn't have to be health and wellness. It could be a house project. It could be a puzzle. It could be a book. Just commit to something, right? Something in your garden, some yard work. Commit to finishing something and finish it, because that will give you something to be excited about. And again, it doesn't have to be some sort of eating method or fitness routine. If that's something that you want to try to do, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to support you through it. But it can be something outside of health and wellness just for you to feel good. All right. So here we are, tip 3 of 5. Tip 3 of 5, again, these are non-cheesy, totally effective ways that worked for me to snap out of a funk, is to write it all down. And the reason why I call this non-cheesy is because I'm not telling you to write a gratitude journal or just write 5 things that you're grateful for every day. That's really going to help you get out of this funk. No, because I did that and it didn't work, right? Even when in the mornings I would write down like even the specific things. Like I love how when my 5-year-old is changing, he always has to ask me if he should change his underwear. I just love it. It's just so cute. I want him to ask me that like every day for the rest of his life. Maybe not the rest of his life. But the little things, how my husband loves to play sports with them, and he knows that if I have a really busy day, he will take the boys out for as long as it takes to let me finish some stuff up, since I'm with them most of the day now that school has been canceled. So I was writing down all of these little tiny things, guys, and again, it really was not the thing that helped me snap out of this funk. However, when I took the time to grab this really cool journal that I bought probably 8 years ago at Urban Outfitters and finally got back to, I think I had wrote like 3 journal entries in it. So I finally got back to it and just wrote out everything I was feeling, right? I didn't care if I had to scribble things out, if I spelled anything wrong. I didn't follow a method. I just did freestyle writing and just wrote out how I was feeling. And what I've heard in journaling is that at the beginning, you're kind of getting out the top layer, right? You're just kind of getting out. It's kind of like when you're digging for something, or maybe when you're gardening. Sure, when you're like raking, you're getting off the top layer, but then you get down to the meat, right? You really get down to the stuff that really needed to be found or just like shuffled up a little bit. And I started writing, and just kind of getting the typical stuff out, like what's going on. I had a health scare. If you guys follow me, you heard about that a couple weeks ago, that I think probably triggered all of this, because it happened I started feeling super, super down about 2-3 days before this. I had an ovarian cyst burst, and whatever, hormonally things, I was just sad. I was just blue. And anyways, I think that was all related to it. But, I just started writing things down, and I started kind of writing down the typical stuff, but it wasn't until the very end, after, 20 minutes of writing, the boys were playing outside. My husband, I think, was like getting dinner ready, and I was just like on my own. I was on the couch. And the last thing that I wrote was, I need something to be excited about. And I didn't know that that was the situation. I had when I was in this funk, I didn't know that that was one of the core things that was driving me to feel so down and so not myself. And so because of that, that kind of brought me to tip number 2 that we went through yesterday, is just something to look forward to. Something, doesn't matter how like monumental or small it is, but something to look forward to. And I talked about yesterday how I started reading a fiction book. So for many of you, you're probably like, no big deal. I do that every single day, but I don't let myself enjoy fiction. I'm always reading books about mindset and mindfulness and meditation and wellness and business. And I finally let myself read this fiction. I'm reading Where the Crawdads Sing. And last night I read from 9 to 11. I read for 2 hours in bed last night, which is like not like me. And it's just so wonderful to escape. So anyways, the point of tip number 3 today, to bust out of your quarantine funk, is to just start writing it down. So it could be on a Post-it note, but I would recommend some sort of, if you have like a cute journal that you told yourself you were going to write in every morning or every night and you haven't, bust that out. If it's just a notepad, if it's just like these like spiral notebooks, do it. Whatever you got, just start writing it down. You are going to be so surprised to see what comes out of that writing. And you don't even have to call it journaling. You don't have to make it sound so like woo-woo and meditative. Just take it as a prescription from a doctor, even though I'm not a doctor, just to start writing and see what comes up, and really allow yourself to get through the mess and get through like the shallow stuff. Not that any of it is shallow or not important, but the typical stuff that you already have been thinking of your mind, allow yourself to write through all of that and then to just keep going. If you need journal prompts, shoot me a DM. I'm happy to send you, or a message wherever you're watching this, or comment here. And I'm happy to, if like writing freestyle with like no outline or course of action, it sounds like a little bit too daunting or difficult for you, just let me know and I can totally send you a list of journal prompts to help you through that. But that is something that truly, truly helped me get to the bottom of like, what is this? Where is this stemming from? And again, if you guys want like a PDF to go along with this vision that you want for yourself coming out of quarantine, hop on over to wholehearted.com and click Wellness Planning Guide at the top. And that's where you will find the Inner Boss Outer Balance Planning Guide. It's a way for you to channel that confidence and consistency and momentum that you had before quarantine, before you may have kind of slid into this funk. It's really a way for you to channel that energy that you had and bring it into your lifestyle now. So instead of, writing down the to-do list of what you think you need to do to get you to where you want to be, it's thinking with the end in mind. It's thinking of, how do I want to be when the quarantine is lifted? How do I want to feel at the end of April, the end of May, the end of June, 4th of July, Memorial Day, just thinking of like milestones coming up. It's putting that in place. It's beginning with the end in mind. And then this PDF that goes along with a 10-minute training, that's over at wholehearted.com. Just click Wellness Planning Guide at the top. And I could go back in these videos and just post it in the comments to make that link easier for you guys. But that's really going to help you create that vision, really manifest what it is, who you want to be when you come back to life here, and kind of where you are now in this funk you might be feeling and where you want to be. Okay. So it helps you decide what you need to hold on to, some good habits that you have right now, and what you might need to let go of so that you can feel like yourself again, because that's what it's all about. All right. So again, I try to keep these like 10 minutes max. So I hope this was hopeful. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. And please leave a comment. Let me know if you're going to try out the journaling or just the freestyle writing. Let me know if this was something that maybe you had heard of doing before, but just never really honored yourself the time to do. And if you do it, I want to hear how it goes. Please let me know if it helped you as much as it helped me. And feel free to scroll back and watch videos 1 and 2 for tips 1 and 2 on how to break out of any quarantine funk that you are feeling right now. All right, guys, I will be back tomorrow for tip number 4 and then Friday for tip number 5. All right, stay tuned. Have a great day.